Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're setting our sights on a really interesting spot in southeastern Minnesota, Lake Louise State Park. We've pulled together quite a bit of material, geological info, bird checklists, details on the state park system itself.
Yeah, good mix to really get a feel for the place.
So our mission today, let's take you on a compelling journey into this park. We want to uncover its story, its hidden gems, and, why it's a great place for curious explorers.
Exactly. If you're someone who loves getting out in nature, but also understanding why a place looks the way it does,
Right.
then this deep dive is definitely for you. We're aiming to go beyond just listing facts.
Okay, so let's get oriented first. Where exactly is Lake Louise State Park? What's the first thing you notice?
It's pretty easy to find, actually, just about 1.5 miles north of Leroy, Minnesota.
Okay.
And it's a decent size, around 1,100 acres. The main feature, the thing that catches your eye, is probably the lake, Lake Louise. It's about 25 acres.
25 acres. So not huge, but big enough for activities.
Oh, absolutely. Perfect for swimming. It's got sandy shores, great for canoeing, kayaking, that sort of thing. And fishing, too. People definitely fish there.
Sounds idyllic.
Yeah.
But I get the sense from our sources that the lake, while central, isn't the whole story. There's more going on.
Definitely more. There's a really expensive trail system. It caters to pretty much everyone.
Like hikers, bikers.
Yep, hikers, bikers, even horseback riders. There are trails specifically for that.
Oh, cool.
And these trails, they aren't just pathways. They really open up the park, leading you through different landscapes, offering some really breathtaking views at points, plus great spots for wildlife watching.
Wildlife, okay. And I saw mentions of picnic spots, too.
Yeah, scattered around, perfect places to just sit back, relax, and soak it all in.
Now, here's something that really jumped out at me from the notes, this term, driftless area. Lake Louise is smack dab in the middle of it, isn't it?
It is. That's absolutely key to understanding the park's character.
So what does driftless actually mean for the landscape you see there?
Okay, so think about the last ice age. Massive glaciers covered huge parts of North America, including much of Minnesota.
Right, scraping everything flat, leaving behind rocks and soil.
Exactly. That material left behind is called drift. But this particular corner of southeastern Minnesota, along with parts of Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, it dodged the most recent glaciers. It's driftless.
Ah, okay. So it wasn't flattened and covered.
Pretty much. It retains a much older landscape. Instead of smoothed out plains, you get these deeply carved river valleys, more rugged terrain, generally. Sometimes it's called the Paleozoic Plateau because the underlying rock is from that era.
Interesting. So less glacial leftovers, more exposed older rock.
That's a good way to put it. And because there isn't that thick layer of glacial drift acting like a sponge, the bedrock is much closer to the surface. And this makes it really vulnerable to water erosion over long, long periods. Which leads us directly to another defining feature of Lake Louise, karst topography.
Karst. Okay, that sounds technical, but the sources really emphasized it. Break it down for us. What is karst, and why is it a big deal at Lake Louise?
So karst landscapes form when water dissolves certain types of rock, mainly limestone, which is common in this region.
Dissolves it, like underground.
Exactly. Rainwater, slightly acidic, seeps down through cracks in the limestone. Over thousands, millions of years, it dissolves the rock, creating underground drainage systems. Think caves, channels, passageways, a whole hidden network.
Wow.
And because the driftless area doesn't have that thick sediment cover we talked about,
Right, the protective layer.
surface water gets down to that bedrock really quickly, accelerating the whole karst forming process.
Okay, so this underground dissolving action. What does that look like on the surface? What would I see if I were walking around the park?
The classic feature is sinkholes. You'd see these depressions in the ground, sometimes small, sometimes quite large. They form when the soil or rock layer above an underground void collapses inward.
So literal holes sinking into the ground.
Essentially, yeah. You also find caves, springs where that underground water comes back out, and sometimes streams that just disappear into the ground.
Disappearing streams.
Yep. They flow into a sinkhole or a crack and join that underground network. It's all part of the karst plumbing system.
And Lake Louise has a particular claim to fame regarding one of these features, doesn't it?
It does. It actually holds the title for having more sinkholes than any other state park in Minnesota.
Wow, the most sinkholes. That really drives home how unique that geology is there.
It really does. It's a very visible sign of those hidden, ongoing geological processes.
Okay, moving from underground wonders to something more visible. The Shooting Star State Trail. That runs through the park, right?
That's right. It bisects the park. It's a paved trail, about 29 miles long in total, though the section through the park is shorter, obviously.
Paved is nice, makes it accessible.
Very accessible. Great for biking, wheelchairs, rollerblading, or just a simple walk. And it's known for being really scenic.
Scenic how? Like views.
Yeah, good views, but especially known for wildflowers during the spring and summer. Lots of color. And because it goes through different habitats, it's also excellent for spotting wildlife.
And I remember reading it's good for birding specifically.
Oh, definitely. Birdwatchers love that trail. The mix of woods and open areas along the path means you can see a good variety. Our notes even mention looking out for rarer species like grasshopper sparrows and dickcissels.
Speaking of birds, the official park checklist we looked at, it's enormous.
It really is something, isn't it? It just shows how rich the habitat is there.
So many different types listed.
Yeah, you've got your waterfowl, Canada goose, wood duck, mallard, blue-winged teal, swans, other geese. Then upland birds like pheasants and wild turkey.
Turkeys.
Grebes, mourning doves, cuckoos, nighthawks, hummingbirds. The ruby-throated hummingbird is there.
Always amazing to see those.
Isn't it? Then you've got rails, coots, sandhill cranes, killdeer, sandpipers, gulls, terns. Even common loons and American white pelicans have been spotted.
Pelicans. In southeastern Minnesota.
Yep. And herons and egrets. Great blue, great egret, green heron, turkey vultures, of course. Bald eagles, red-tailed hawks.
Eagles are always a highlight.
For sure. Owls, too. Barred owls, great horned owls. Kingfishers. A whole bunch of woodpeckers, red-headed, red-bellied, downy, hairy, northern flicker.
It just keeps going.
It does. Falcons like the American kestrel. Then all the songbirds. Flycatchers, vireos, jays, crows, larks, swallows, chickadees, nuthatches, wrens. Thrushes like the eastern bluebird and robin. Catbirds, mockingbirds, starlings, waxwings. Sparrows, finches, towhees, blackbirds, orioles, warblers. Lots of warblers pass through. Tanagers, cardinals, grosbeaks like the rose-breasted grosbeak, indigo buntings. It's a serious birding hotspot.
Clearly. You could spend a whole trip just focused on birds there. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Lake Louise is one park within the bigger Minnesota State Park system. What's the overall philosophy behind these parks?
Well, the state park system has a sort of dual mandate, laid out in state law specifically, chapters 85 and 86A of the Minnesota statutes. The goal is twofold. Provide recreation and education for the public, but also protect the state's natural and cultural resources. It's about balancing use with preservation for the future.
And only the legislature can actually create or change park boundaries.
That's right. It's a deliberate process, not something done lightly. The Outdoor Recreation Act, which is part of Chapter 86A, really defines the purpose.
And what does that act say state parks should be?
It says they should protect and perpetuate large areas that really exemplify Minnesota's natural features. The idea is to allow people to use, enjoy, and understand these resources, but, and this is key, without impairing them for future generations.
So preservation is paramount.
It is. The act also says parks should represent the state's major landscape regions, have diverse resources, and be big enough to actually protect those resources while still allowing for enjoyment.
Makes sense. And who manages all this on a daily basis?
That's the job of the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources. Their Parks and Recreation Division oversees the system.
And how do they approach management within the parks?
Their focus is really on preserving those natural features, maintaining a healthy balance of plants and animals, sometimes even restoring native species. The guiding idea is that the main use should be aesthetic, cultural, educational. They recognize they can't accommodate every single type of recreation if it harms the resource.
That balance seems crucial. Did the sources say anything about how people feel about the parks? Are visitors happy?
Yeah, generally, visitor satisfaction is consistently very high across the Minnesota State Park system.
That's good to hear.
And the most popular activities, things like hiking, sightseeing, and very relevant here, nature observation, people really go to connect with the outdoors.
That desire to experience nature seems fundamental. And who are the folks on the ground making it happen?
Within the DNR's Parks and Recreation Division, you've got permanent staff, seasonal staff, people working right in the parks, like park managers, and others in regional or central offices supporting them. It's a dedicated team.
So wrapping it all together, Lake Louise State Park sounds like this fascinating combination. You've got the unique driftless area geology, the sinkholes as proof, the pleasant lake itself, the extensive trails like the Shooting Star, this incredible bird life, and it's all managed under this philosophy of protection and enjoyment.
Exactly. It's much more than just a lake. It's a place with layers of stories, Geological, ecological, recreational.
It definitely seems like a rewarding spot for anyone who likes to explore and learn, not just relax.
Absolutely. It caters perfectly to that curious explorer, that lifelong learner type. You can see the geology in action, witness diverse wildlife, and just appreciate a really special piece of Minnesota's landscape.
If you're looking for somewhere that offers that blend of tranquility and discovery, it sounds like Lake Louise is a strong contender.
I'd say so. And maybe a final thought to leave people with? Reflect on those deep, slow, powerful geological forces that shaped this place.
The Karst Formation, the lack of glaciers.
Right. It's mostly invisible, happening over immense timescales, but it's created this unique park. It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other places that maybe seem ordinary on the surface have equally amazing hidden stories shaping their character?
That's a great point. Looking beyond the surface.
Yeah.
Definitely something to think about.